They say the most dangerous man in Seoul never raised his fist in violence. They were right. But what they don't tell you is that peaceful men can still break your heart. Her name was Neema, and the man she loved was Min-Jae, the Korean Mafia boss who chose peace over power. But when his mother gave him an ultimatum, he had to choose between that peace and her. And his choice? It nearly destroyed everything he built, including them. Rain hammered against the glass walls of Incheon International Airport as Neema stood frozen at Gate 24, her boarding pass trembling in her hand. Behind her, the announcement system called for final boarding to Dar es Salaam. Ahead of her, the jet bridge stretched like a tunnel to a life without him. She closed her eyes, and his face appeared, the way it always did when she tried to forget. 3 months earlier, Neema's life had a rhythm she understood. Every morning at 6, she'd unlock the doors of Jabari's, her father's Tanzanian restaurant in Itaewon. The neighborhood was just waking up, delivery trucks rumbling past, Ajumma setting up their vegetable stands. She'd prep the mise en place, the scent of cardamom and cloves filling the small kitchen, while her father hummed old Tanzanian songs in the back office. At 26, Neema had lived in Korea for 24 years. She didn't just speak Korean fluently, she dreamed in it, argued in it, told jokes in it. When people asked where she was from, the question always stung a little. Seoul was her home. These streets raised her. But no matter how perfectly she pronounced her words or how deeply she understood the culture, there was always that moment, that flash of surprise in people's eyes when she opened her mouth. "Your Korean is so good," an older customer said one Tuesday afternoon, smiling like she'd performed a circus trick. "Thank you," Neema replied with practiced grace, though her father caught the tightness around her eyes as she walked away. "Baby girl, don't let it get to you," Jabari said later, his large hand warm on her shoulder. "I don't, Baba. Not anymore." But they both knew that was only half true. That evening, everything changed. The door chimed at 7:45, 15 minutes before closing. Neema looked up from wiping down tables and saw him for the first time. Min-Jae walked in with 2 men flanking him, both in dark suits. But it was him her eyes locked onto. Tall, lean, with a face that seemed carved from something expensive. His movements were controlled, deliberate. He didn't swagger like the university boys who sometimes stumbled and drunk. He moved like water, certain of where it would flow. "Are you still serving?" His voice was quiet, almost apologetic. "Of course. Please, sit anywhere." He chose a corner table, his back to the wall. The 2 men stood near the entrance. Neema brought menus, felt his eyes follow her. Not in the way that made her skin crawl, but with genuine curiosity, like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. "What do you recommend?" he asked. "The Neema choma is perfect tonight. My father just finished marinating it this morning." "Then I'll trust you." Something about the way he said trust made her heart skip. She brought him the food 20 minutes later, watched him take the first bite. His eyes closed briefly, and when they opened, there was something soft there, something that didn't match the expensive suit or the bodyguards. "This is incredible," he said. "Thank you." "You're welcome." She started to walk away. "What's your name?" She turned back. "Neema." "I'm Min-Jae." He extended his hand. When she shook it, his grip was firm but gentle. "I'll be back." And he was. 2 days later. Then 4 days after that. Then almost every week. He always came near closing time, always ordered whatever she recommended, always left a tip that made her father raise his eyebrows. After the 3rd visit, Jabari pulled her aside. "That man. Be careful, Neema." "Why?" "He's been nothing but respectful." "I know men like that. The kind who carry silence like a weapon." "He's not a businessman, baby girl." But Neema was already intrigued. There was something about Min-Jae that felt different. He asked her questions, real questions. About her childhood, about Tanzania, about what it was like growing up between 2 worlds. He listened like her words mattered, like she wasn't just filling silence but building something. On his 7th visit, he waited outside after closing. Neema saw him through the window, standing in the soft rain without an umbrella. She grabbed her jacket and went out. "You're getting wet," she said. "I needed to talk to you. Before this goes any further." He looked at her with an intensity that made her breath catch. I need to tell you who I am. Okay. I'm not a good man, Neema. My father left me an organization when he died 4 years ago. An organization that dealt in things I'm not proud of. Seoul was drowning in violence back then. Bodies in the Han River. Businesses burned. Families destroyed. He paused, rain dripping down his face. I made a choice. I ended the bloodshed. Negotiated truces. Created rules. Made it so we didn't have to kill to survive. Neema felt her stomach tighten. You're telling me you're in the Mafia? Yes. I'm telling you that I've done things I can't take back. But I'm also telling you that every day, I try to be better than the man I was raised to be. And when I sit in your restaurant, when I talk to you, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Peace. His eyes searched hers. I don't want to lie to you. And I don't want to put you in danger. So if you want me to leave and never come back, I'll understand. The smart thing would have been to say yes. To thank him for his honesty and close that door forever. But Neema had spent her whole life being careful, being the good daughter, the model immigrant, the girl who never made waves. And standing there in the rain with this dangerous, honest man, she felt something wild wake up inside her. I don't want you to leave, she said quietly. Min-Jae's expression broke open with relief. Thank you. But if we do this, you have to promise me something. Anything. Don't lie to me. Not ever. Not even to protect me. I promise. That was how it started. Over the next 3 months, Neema fell in love with him in a way that terrified and thrilled her. Min-Jae was nothing like she expected. He was gentle with her, thoughtful. He brought her books he thought she'd like, remembered the small things she mentioned in passing. He taught her about Korean traditions she'd never learned growing up working class, took her to temples and tea ceremonies. She took him to Tanzanian cultural events, introduced him to her father's friends, showed him the Tanzania she carried in her heart. One night, they sat on a rooftop in Gangnam, the city sprawled out below them like a blanket of lights. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Choosing peace. Min-Jae was quiet for a long moment. Every day, I wonder if I'm strong enough to keep it. There are people who think I'm weak. Who think I should rule through fear instead of respect. And some days, when things get difficult, I wonder if they're right. He turned to her. But then I see you. And I remember why it matters. What's the point of power if it makes you into a monster? She kissed him then, tasted rain and hope and something that felt dangerously close to forever. But there were shadows even in that happiness. Min-Jae rarely talked about his mother, and when he did, his whole body tensed. Once, Neema asked if she could meet her. She's traditional, he said carefully. Very traditional. She has specific ideas about who I should be with. Have you told her about me? The pause was too long. Not yet. I will. I just need to find the right time. That should have been the warning. That hesitation. But Neema loved him too much to see it clearly. She pushed the discomfort down and told herself it would be fine. Love was enough. It had to be. It wasn't. The cracks started small. Min-Jae's second-in-command, Sung-ho, began showing up more frequently, his face grim. They'd speak in low voices in Korean too fast and too coded for Neema to follow completely. She caught words though. Rival families. Challenges. Tests of authority. Is everything okay? She asked one night after Sung-ho left. It's fine. Just business. But Min-Jae's smile didn't reach his eyes. You promised not to lie to me. He sighed. There are people who think I've gotten soft. That I'm distracted. They're testing boundaries, seeing how far they can push. Because of me? No. Because power always invites challenges. This isn't your fault, Neema. But she could see it in his face. It was partly her fault. Or at least, his relationship with her was being used against him. Madam Choi found out about Neema on a Tuesday. Min-Jae's mother had sources everywhere, eyes and ears throughout Seoul. When she heard her son was serious about a woman, she had her followed. Watched. Investigated. And what she discovered horrified her. Not because Neema was a bad person, but because she wasn't Korean. Because loving her would complicate everything Madame Choi had built for her son. Neema was alone in the restaurant when Madame Choi walked in. It was mid-afternoon, the slow hours between lunch and dinner. An elegant woman in her late 50s entered, dressed in a designer hanbok, her posture immaculate. She sat at a table and studied the menu. "What can I get you?" Neema asked, bringing water. "The Neema Choma, please. I've heard it's exceptional." Something about the way she said it made Neema's skin prickle. But she smiled and put in the order. When she brought the food, the woman took one bite, nodded approvingly, and then said, "Sit down." "I'm sorry." "Sit down. We need to talk." The woman's eyes were sharp as broken glass. "You're the one my son has been hiding." Neema felt the blood drain from her face. "Who are you?" "I'm the woman who decides whether you have a future with him or not. I'm Madame Choi. Min-Jae's mother." The world tilted. Neema sat because her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. "You seem like a lovely girl," Madame Choi continued, her voice soft and deadly. "You run this restaurant well. You're clearly intelligent. But you're not Korean. And my son has responsibilities. A legacy. Expectations. You would be a complication. With respect, I think Min-Jae should decide that. He already has." Madame Choi dabbed her mouth with a napkin. "He just hasn't told you yet. My son is many things, but when it comes to duty, he always chooses correctly. He hasn't introduced you to me because he knows what I'll say. He knows this can't continue." "You're wrong." "Am I? Then why hasn't he told me about you? Why does he keep you separate from his life?" Madame Choi stood, placed money on the table. "I'm not a cruel woman. I don't want to see you hurt. But if you love my son, you'll see the truth. You're a liability. The families are already questioning his authority. If he chooses you publicly, he'll lose everything. Is that what you want for him?" She left Neema sitting there, shaking. When Neema called Min-Jae an hour later, her voice was raw. "Your mother came to see me." There was a sharp intake of breath. "She did what? When? Where are you?" "At the restaurant." "She knows, Min-Jae. She knows everything." "I'm coming. Stay there." He arrived 20 minutes later, his face tight with anger. They went upstairs to her apartment above the restaurant, and the moment the door closed, she turned on him. "Why didn't you tell her about me? Why am I a secret?" "Because I knew this would happen. My mother, she's impossible. She has this vision of who I should be, who I should marry, and she doesn't listen." "So what, you were just going to hide me forever?" "I was protecting you." "From what?" "Your life. I'm already in it, Min-Jae. Or did you think I didn't notice the way people look at us? The way your men whisper when I'm around? I'm not stupid. I never said you were." "Then what are you saying?" "Because right now, it sounds like you're ashamed of me." The words hit him like a physical blow. "That's not true. Neema, you're the best thing in my life." "Then prove it. Tell your mother about us. Officially. Stop hiding. I need time." "For what?" "To figure this out. To make her understand." Neema felt something crack inside her. "There's nothing to figure out, Min-Jae. Either you choose me, or you don't. And if you need time to decide that, then you've already made your choice." She wanted him to fight back. To say she was wrong. But he just stood there, silent and lost. "I think you should go," she said quietly. He left. And for 3 days, there was nothing. No calls. No texts. Just silence that felt like drowning. Madame Choi summoned Min-Jae on the 4th day. He arrived at her house in Pyeongchang-dong, the place where he grew up, where every corner held memories of his father's iron rule. His mother was in the sitting room, tea already poured. "Sit." He sat. "The families are talking," she said without preamble. "They see you weakened by this distraction. Kim in Busan is already making moves. Lee in Incheon is testing your territory. If you don't end this now, they'll see it as an invitation to destroy everything you've built. That's not true. Isn't it? Your second told me you've been distracted. Missing meetings. Making uncharacteristic mistakes. All because of this girl. Madam Choi's voice was surgical in its precision. I've arranged a meeting with the Busan family. Their daughter is educated, sophisticated, and her family's alliance would secure your position for the next decade. Marry her. End this foolishness. I don't love her. Love is a luxury men like you cannot afford. Your father understood that. It's time you did too. She poured more tea. Choose, Min-Jae. Your duty, or this girl. But know that choosing her means choosing weakness. And weak men don't survive in our world. Min-Jae left his mother's house feeling like he was being torn in half. For 3 more days, he didn't contact Neema. He couldn't. Because every time he picked up the phone, he heard his mother's voice. Weak men don't survive. And every time he closed his eyes, he saw Neema's face. Either you choose me, or you don't. Neema spent those days breaking. Her father watched her move through the restaurant like a ghost, and finally, he sat her down. Baby girl, what's happening? I can't do this anymore, Baba. I can't keep waiting for him to choose me. Then what will you do? I'm going to leave. Go to Tanzania for a while. Stay with Auntie Zaina. I need space. I need to breathe. She looked at her father with tears streaming down her face. He said he'd fight for peace. But he won't fight for me. Jabari pulled her into his arms. Sometimes love isn't enough. And that's not your fault. Neema booked a flight for 3 days later. She didn't tell Min-Jae. What would be the point? He'd made his choice through his silence. But Min-Jae was unraveling. Sung-ho found him in his office at 2 in the morning, staring at nothing. Boss, you need to make a decision. The families are waiting. I built this empire on the idea that we could be better. That we didn't have to destroy everything we touch. Min-Jae's voice was hollow. But what's the point if I can't even protect the one thing that makes me want to be better? Then what are you going to do? Min-Jae stood. Something I should have done from the beginning. He called a meeting. Not just his mother, but the heads of the allied families. It was unprecedented, risky. Madam Choi tried to stop him. Min-Jae, don't do this. Don't throw away everything for pride. This isn't pride, mother. This is principle. They gathered in a private room in Gangnam, 7 family heads and their seconds. Madam Choi sat in the corner, her face unreadable. Min-Jae stood at the head of the table, and for a moment, he looked exactly like his father. Except his eyes held something his father's never did. Compassion. I've kept the peace for 4 years, he began. In that time, no wars. No bloodshed. You've all prospered under that peace. Your businesses flourish. Your families are safe. All because I chose a different path. We're grateful, one of the older bosses said carefully. But gratitude doesn't mean we accept disrespect. Disrespect. Min-Jae's voice sharpened. You think choosing love is disrespect? We think choosing an outsider over duty is weakness. Then you misunderstand me. Min-Jae looked at each of them. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm telling you. There is a woman in my life. Her name is Neema. She is part of who I am. And if you cannot accept that, then you never truly accepted the peace I built. Madam Choi stood. Min-Jae, stop this now. No, mother. I respect you. I owe you everything. But I will not sacrifice my humanity for power. Not anymore. My father ruled through fear, and it made him into something monstrous. I will not become him. The room was silent. Tense. Then one of the elder bosses, Kim from Busan, spoke. Your father would have killed you for this disrespect. I know. That's why I'm not my father. Another moment of silence. Then Kim started to laugh. You have courage, I'll give you that. He looked around the table. The boy stood up to all of us. Told us he'll choose his own path. That takes strength. Slowly, surprisingly, the other bosses nodded. Not all of them. But enough. If she makes you weak, we'll revisit this, Kim said. But for now, you've earned the right to make your own choices. Min-Jae exhaled. Thank you. He left immediately. Neema's flight was in 40 minutes. He'd found out through Sung-ho, who'd been keeping tabs to make sure she was safe. Min-Jae drove himself, breaking every traffic law to get to Incheon Airport. He tried calling her. No answer. He called again. Nothing. Neema stood at gate 24 with her father beside her. Her boarding pass felt like a death certificate in her hand. You sure about this? Jabari asked. I have to be, Baba. The announcement called for final boarding. She picked up her bag, started walking toward the gate. Each step felt like moving through concrete. Then she heard her name. Neema. She turned. Min-Jae was running toward her, breathless, his suit disheveled. He looked like he'd run through hell to get there. What are you doing here? Her voice was cold, protective. I'm not here to stop you. He stopped a few feet away, gave her space. I'm here to show you what I did. What I should have done months ago. He pulled out his phone, hands shaking slightly, and played a video. It was the family meeting. All of it. Him standing up to everyone. His declaration. His courage. Neema watched with tears streaming down her face. When it ended, she looked up at him. I don't know if it's enough, Min-Jae said, his voice breaking. I don't know if I deserve another chance. But I need you to know, I fought. I finally fought. Not with fists or weapons, but with the only thing I had. The truth. That I love you. And that I'm not ashamed of that. Not anymore. Your mother is learning to accept that I make my own choices now. It'll take time. She's stubborn. But I'm not hiding you anymore. Not from her. Not from anyone. He took a step closer. I'm not asking you to forget these past days. I know I hurt you. I know I was a coward. But I'm asking for the chance to spend the rest of my life proving I can be brave enough for us both. Neema looked at the boarding pass. Looked at her father, who nodded gently. Looked at Min-Jae, this dangerous gentleman who'd finally learned to fight for something other than peace. I'm still angry at you, she said. I know. You broke my heart. I know. She tore up the boarding pass. The pieces fell like snow between them. You're going to spend the rest of your life making this up to me. Min-Jae exhaled, something like hope lighting his face. I know. She walked to him then, and he caught her in his arms like she was the only thing keeping him tethered to earth. They held each other while travelers moved around them, while announcements echoed, while life continued. And in that moment, Neema understood something fundamental. Love wasn't just a feeling. It was a choice. And so was courage. And sometimes, the bravest thing you could do was choose both. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us what you thought. Would you have given Min-Jae a second chance? Let us know below. And if you believe in love that's worth fighting for, hit that like button. Because sometimes, the most dangerous men are the ones who dare to love without fear.